very warm welcome to all of you. On behalf of Architects and Interiors India, thank you so much for joining us today for an evening that promises to be exciting and enriching. I'm Shiraz Khan and I'm going to be your host for tonight. So I'd like to begin by telling you a bit about this event. Architects and Interiors India's flagship property design debate is all about taking on contested topics in the field of architecture and design. A phenomenal initiative, Design Debate is a multi-city event wherein every month we head to a new city. We've conducted over 26 editions so far and traveled across India. And for our 27th edition, we've traveled to one of the most earliest planned cities by a Swiss-French architect in post-independent independent India and internationally known for its architecture and urban design, Chandigarh. So here we are introducing Design Debate's brand new theme, Monumental Architecture versus Inclusive Architecture in a city that was described by BBC in one of their articles as one of the few master plan cities in the world to have succeeded in terms of combining monumental architecture, cultural growth and modernization. So you'll be hearing a lot more about the theme from everyone present here tonight, so I won't take up much time. We have a lot to celebrate here as some amazing and brilliant, absolutely brilliant names in the industry will soon be taking stage. So welcome to this evening, replete with knowledge sharing, and let us have a huge round of applause for Architects and Interiors India present Design Debate, the Chandigarh edition. So to begin with, let me call upon stage Mr. Indrajit Saoji, Group Publishing Director of ITP Media Group, to kindly come on stage and give us a huge welcome speech. He's the one who ideated and created this platform. I request Sir to please come on stage and deliver the opening speech for tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Design Debate Chandigarh edition. Sat Sri Akal, Chandigarh. Tonight we embark on a journey through the heart of architecture, exploring the clash between monumental architecture and inclusive architecture, balancing grandeur and with accessibility. Chandigarh, a city where tradition meets modernity in perfect harmony, stands a living tribute to architectural diversity. From the iconic structure that dominates the skyline of intricate details that adorn every corner of the city is a canvas upon which architects have painted their dreams. Our chosen theme tonight couldn't be more relevant in a city like Chandigarh. As we gaze upon the towering monuments that inspire awe, we must also consider the importance of accessibility for all. After all, what good is a majestic structure if it cannot experienced by everyone, regardless of their abilities? I extend my heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for gracing us with your presence today, infusing this venue with your vibrant energy. It's truly overwhelming to witness the enthusiasm and warmth that Chandigarh has extended to all of us. This marks a significant milestone for us as we bring the Design Debate Chandigarh edition to you in this rich city filled with culture, and your presence makes it all a very more special. A huge round of applause for each one of you for taking time out and being here today despite being a working day. Thank you. Thank you. This debate is just not about brick and mortar. It's about the very essence of our cities. Monumental architecture captivates our imagination, leaving an indelible mark on our memories. But inclusive architecture ensures that these marvels are accessible to all, enriching lives of everyone in our community. Since We begin this journey of design debate back in 2022. We are on a mission to ignite conversations about architectural practices and about architecture across India, with a special focus on small towns. We have traveled almost 27 cities, sparking discussion and challenging perceptions across the journey. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our curator tonight, architect Sandesh Sharma, whose expertise has been instrumental in shaping tonight's event. And he was instrumental to help us change this topic of today's discussion. None of this would have been possible without our panel and our esteemed panelists, the Doyens panel, as well as the next gen panelist. Thank you both for joining us tonight and sharing your insights. None of this would have been again possible without our esteemed partners, Ika Pidilite, our presenting partner, Aluk and Dorma Kaba. Your support had been humongous and it has made this event possible. We are really grateful to you guys. So let's keep an open mind and there is a touch of humor and dive into tonight's debate. May the best architecture philosophy win. Sit back, relax, and enjoy your evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that heartwarming speech. Architects and Interiors India has always been grateful to partner with one of the most trusted and reputed brands in the field of architecture and interior design. And having said that, I present to you all one of the finest brands for wood finishes, ICA. Can we please have the AV?
Italy, the land of fashion and design, glam and beauty. Italian designers have forever been the preferred choice of the global literati. Question is, does your taste meet the choice of Italy's finest? ICA, Italian wood finishes, good taste shows.
Thank you to the team of ICA for that lovely AV. I would now like to call Mr. Santosh Kumar, Zonal Head North, to kindly come on stage and present further about the wide range of wood coatings and shades by ICA. So can we please have you on stage?
So before I start on with the presentation, I would like to give you a definition of what exactly ICA stands for. So in India, there are a lot of people who will call it ICA as IKEA, they call it ICA, or comfortably they call it ICA as well. Till the time this name suggests good taste, we are comfortable with whatever with the pronunciation. ICA stands for Industria Chimica Adriatica. Now, unlike in India where 80% of the work is done at sites, in Italy or Europe, 90-95% of the work is done in industries. So this factory comes under industrial segment. Obviously, this is a chemical and hence the Chemica, and our office is situated in Civitanova, which is close to Adriatica Sea. Hence the Adriatica. So this is actually pronounced as Industria Chimica Adriatica. So ICA works on three major philosophies. Its focus is on innovation, elevation, and the sustainability of our product range. I'll talk about the company profile. ICA is, as I explained, is an Italian multinational with presence in more than 50 countries. And similarly, Pidilite is also an Indian multinational with presence in more than 50 countries. And ICA is famous for its technology. They have the world's best technology when it comes to wood finishes. Similarly, Pidilite, as you know, there are a lot of brands associated with Pidilite like Dr. Fixit, Fevicol, Roth. So they are Indian multinational with the best distribution network in India. So Pidilite still believes in the growth story of Bharat, where they feel that the opportunity is there in every nook and corner of India. So this combination has worked very well from last 2016, where the technology of Italy and the distribution might of Pidilite was amalgamated and a new venture called ICA Pidilite was formed. This has actually helped us reach a lot of tier 1 and tier 2 cities of India as well. And Pidilite still feels that every person in India, every corner of India has people with good taste. So with the distribution network, we are able to reach the person who has that good taste and hence provide this experience also. ICA is always famous for this technology. So they have been pioneer in the wood finishes segment. So their product called polyester has always been significant with the gloss finish. They are the best in polyester. They have always have a forward-thinking approach wherein they have started making coatings through biodegradable waste as well. They are very much focused on the sustaining this entire segment. Their focus is very high in wood, in the water-based segment, and they keep on making products which are better than the current existing range. So there are certain innovations by ICA and that too in matte range. Why the matte range? Because as we have experienced in the last few years that majority of the architects and interior designers prefer matte as their preferred choice. Hence, there are a lot of matte finishes, normal matte finishes available in market. However, we plan to make better finishes than the normal finishes. So here I am going to show some of the finishes which are better than the current market trends. So one of the product which we launched last year is Asmat. So this Asmat is a very velvet kind of a touch, and this has self-healing properties and for hairline scratches also. This is also anti-fingerprint, and this is the preferred choice of the architects and interiors in the metro cities. So we have started doing some of the projects, and this has been used in some of the most premium sites. The next innovation is by the name of Protecto. Gloss has always been in the form of high build. However, this is the first time that we are launching a matte finish, which is in high build matte finish. This is a 4-touch scratch resistant with a longer durability. The third is acrylic coatings. Nowadays, we have seen that a lot of dyed veneers is being used in their projects. Now, dyed veneers has a property wherein after a few years they start to go yellow or the color starts fading. Now, acrylic is an has an anti-yellowing property, and this tends to reduce this yellowing property of dyed veneers. Now, talking about sustainability, there is a huge focus by ICA in India over water-based coatings, and we request your support in driving this change. Because unless and until you don't support us in pushing this market, especially in North India where pollution has been a big factor. So water-based is something that is the need of the hour. We have been pushing about the water-based finishes. If you can look at there are in Europe where they have already reached around 50% consumption in water-based coating. In India, we started water-based coating in 2016. We have reached just 5%. But in future, within next 3 to 5 years, we are planning to double this consumption. And all of this is because of focus over architects and interior designers, their support, and this continuous connect with the customers. Obviously, all of us know about the benefits that we have with the water-based coatings. The low VSC, green certified, this is safe for kids also. The higher elasticity and low odor. So in a normal home, if you have got your house painted with the solvent-based PU coatings, it will take a lot of time for that odor to get out. With water-based coatings, you can still live in that house and you get the coatings done. So what we have done that we have started developing products across all the segments in the water-based coatings. So we are not talking about products, we are talking about giving solution in water-based coatings. And all these product range has been grouped under one umbrella, one brand name called Aquavilla. So we have solutions for all the different requirements. For example, interiors. So interior open finishes where the customer requires a good feel of the veneers and the wood. We have products like natural wood and natural touch. Fortunately, Punjab is one of the market which has maximum consumption of natural wood. There are NRI belts where people still prefer nature wood and natural touch, and they promote water-based coatings. In closed pore finishes, solvent-based has always been the preferred choice of customers. However, we have started manufacturing products. There are a lot of new range that are coming up that gives that smooth finish and excellent durability. We have special finishes in 2K interior matte, 2K interior high gloss, and even we are the first company we have introduced gloss level in closed pore with a gloss level of around 90%. So there are a lot of other unique offerings like pathway tech offerings. There are stains, special effects, satin metal. These are unique offerings in water-based range only. So in the last few years, we have seen that the usage of color has increased considerably. 50% of our sales has started coming in from the color range. So far, none of the companies has developed color in PU range with water-based coatings. So going forward, the next financial year, we are planning to launch color with water-based coatings, and we are ready to offer around 2,000 matte shades in water-based coatings. In exterior also, I think water-based is the best, most preferred coating because of the durability and the elasticity of the product. We have product for the exterior range as well. So these are some of the business benefits of water-based, where though the per liter cost of water-based is at a premium, however there are a lot of benefits that are attributed to water-based. So the consumption, the coverage of water-based is also very high, and the labor cost is equally low. So the overall cost of the entire product is not more than 4, 5 to 10% if we are going with the water-based coatings. The other benefits associated with water-based are very high, and hence the overall benefits are better than the ultimate cost. So there are certain companies also, there are certain projects where we have worked with our product. I'm going to show you some of those esteemed projects where we have worked. So the Parliament project. We are very proud to announce that the entire Parliament project has been done with ICA water-based coatings. So it took 1 year for the entire Parliament to done, but ICA was the only choice for the Parliament. The PL collaboration is another form where only water-based coatings of ICA is being used. Lago is another Italian brand who used water-based coatings from ICA. Even they use colors of water-based coatings only. Luz is another brand where they use Asmat. I've explained about the Asmat. This is our new innovative finish, and this has been used by them. Academia is another brand that uses ICA water-based coatings for their projects. The Queen Gambits you see in the Netflix series, this is also uses ICA wood finishes. So these are the companies esteemed and few of the prestigious companies in the world who use ICA as their preferred choice when it comes to coatings.
Thank you so much, Mr. Santosh, for that impressive presentation. Moving on, Design Debate has always strived to bring together the finest of talent and experts of the industry to share their views and thoughts. And one such personality here with us tonight is our very talented curator, an architect and writer from Chandigarh who has authorized 6 books on architecture, including Architecture, Life and Me in 2008, The Corpse Capital 2009, and Castles in the Year 2017. His architecture is known as Cubist modernism, He is known for his contribution to architecture and literature and has designed architectural work at the NIT Jalandhar University of Jammu, Dr. Yashwant Singh Parmar University of Horticulture and Forestry, National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, and the PSG Institute of Technology and Applied Research, which was also awarded the GRIEH Griha Exemplary Performance Award by Griha Council. He is a practicing architect and as a partner in SD Sharma and Associates and also the founder and chairperson of the A3 Foundation, which promotes sustainable architecture of India. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause in welcoming our curator and moderator for tonight, who is also a poet, a singer, a TEDx speaker, and a motivator, Architect Sangeet Sharma. So can you please have him on stage?
Hi everybody, and good evening. Well, welcome to this show. As again, I'll be moderating this session. Very difficult, intricate topic, which unfortunately I also chose with them, and we'll be talking about it. I have some fantastic panelists, great architects from city, Chandigarh, Punjab, Haryana. So all of us are going to be educated amongst each other, and let's hope for a brilliant session. Be free to ask. We are not here to talk amongst ourselves, friends. We are here to talk amongst each other. So be free to guide us, to help us evolve and go back into.
So I would now like to call upon Mr. Indrajit Savji, Group Publishing Director of ITP Media Group, and Mr. Santosh Kumar, Zonal Head North from ICA, to kindly come on stage and felicitate our dear curator, Architect Sangeet Sharma. Can we please have a huge round of applause? Thank you once again. Dwelling further into the evening, we would now like to acknowledge yet another partnering brand that is a global leader in providing aluminium facade systems. Can we please have the AV of Aluki Building Systems? I would now like to invite Mr. Subhendu Ganguly, Managing Director, to kindly come on stage and present further about the advanced range of facades by LUK Building Systems. So can we please have you on stage?
Distinguished guests and delegates from Chandigarh building industry, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Indrajit has given me only 10 minutes to share a few things with you. And you know, when we talk about architecture, the heart of architecture is so big. 10 minutes is too small a time to share the thoughts. So we have today some relevant topics rather than describing the products in details. I have some very interesting, relevant topics for all of you, which are like food for thought in our industry. So before I do that, who we are LUK. We create bright futures through the products that we distribute. We are a global leader in the design and engineering and distribution of aluminum windows all over the world. You can see our presence. We are basically a European company with strong presence across the Europe, but we also are present in Florida, in Brazil, in China for last 20 years. India is an operation for last 10 years. Very sustainable and growing company in India. We have set up, we have several projects in India now. So we are a company that produces about 500,000 windows every year. We have 8 manufacturing sites, 13 warehouses, 2 manufacturing facility for accessories. We manufacture our own hardware and fittings. That's the beauty of our company. We don't buy third-party sourcing and stamp our logo on them. So that's how we are confident about our hardware fittings that goes into every windows and doors. We have our own powder coating line and of course thermal brake assembly lines. We belong to a 1 billion euro group called Valkydas. And of course, we belong to that group who has an existence in the system business for last 72 years. Besides, the Aluke is an Italian brand, and it was born 60 years ago. And the group also have other system brands which are predominantly sold in France, but Aluke is the international vehicle of the group. Now, as I said that we are 10 years old in India, and as of now we have 130 authorized partners, the fabricators who fabricate using our brands and systems. We have more than 4,800 projects. We are headquartered in Bangalore, but if you see, this is a picture that is emerging for Aluke in India. Yesterday in Chandigarh, we have opened the first experience center of Aluke. It is in Sector 82, JLPL Road, Mohali. So this is a place where you can experience, you can feel the different latest technology in the fenestrations as well as facade, displayed in full heights to give you a complete experience. By August, we are going to have 25 such experience centers all over India, starting from Jammu to the bottom of India and then Gujarat to Assam. And these are all experience centers which caters to the retail industry. Of course, project comes separately because for the projects, we have to go and install the mock-ups at site. Okay, sometimes builder do visits, but this is a temple for architects, designers like you, who can come and choose your products. So as I said, we offer different type of systems in doors, different type of doors, fitting to the architectural idea that you have. Then of course facades of any both monumental buildings as well as inclusive constructions. Now this is a very important topic. Why aluminium? Because my friend in ICA was talking about sustainability. Throughout his presentation he spoke about sustainability. Because the world is talking about carbon neutral. So if you talk about carbon neutrality, I think aluminium plays a very vital role. I will talk about 2 things about aluminium. Rather 3 things, okay? There are many properties of aluminium that we know, which makes it fit choice for doors and windows. But the most important is a sustainable metal. It lives on for a green future. Today, an aluminium extrusion that goes into the windows of your house, the life cycle of that product or the metal is more than the life cycle of your building. At the end of the life cycle, that window can be put in a furnace and the metal that comes in can be used as a can for your Pepsi or Coke, or it can go to a pharmaceutical foil. So the life cycle keep on rotating without a finish or end. Okay, so it is a cradle to cradle approach. It doesn't go to the landfill or grave. So continuity of life cycle and comes back in different forms, which makes it a unique case for sustainable material. Okay, so it is not the case for many things, many competing materials that is used for doors and windows. 75% of all the aluminium metal produced till date in the world since the discovery of metal is still in productive use. That tells us how sustainable it is. And recycled aluminium consumes only 5% of the energy that is required to produce a virgin metal. So in all way, in every way, it is sustainable. So when you talk about carbon neutrality, when you go for aluminium, this is your first choice. And the next important thing, and this is very important for the architects, particularly because you talk about style, you design style, you make style statements in your buildings, you make fashion, you offer fashion. And then the challenge is coming to the engineers, and that is why architects and engineers are not the best friend all the time. Because we take the challenge to realize your dreams, because you think Your thinking is unlimited. You can think of any shape, any structure. It is our responsibility as a system company, as a specialist, to give a shape to your thinking. And that we can do provided I have a metal like aluminum. It is sympathetic because it is light. When it is aeroplane, when it is Tesla, when it is space structures, it is all aluminum. People don't talk about any other metal because it is a lightweight yet heavy strength. The strength to the weight ratio is very high. And then of course, in painted and anodized surface, you talk about style. You can make your style statement in a rainbow color of choice, in any texture, which are 25 years warranted by leading companies of the world, which is something very rare to get in any other metal. And of course, unlimited design potential. So whether it is a monumental architecture or an inclusive architecture, as I speak, we are constructing, we are supplying the windows for a 64-story tower in Mumbai. And in the 64th floor, you can imagine, another 40 floor upwards, the environment in that building is completely different. It is hurricane all the time in the balcony in Mumbai. So we are talking about windows that can test it, that can be withstanding about 3.5 kp of design wind load. It's a real hurricane. So therefore, when it is a monumental structure, you won't find any plastic or UPVC curtain wall in the world, because that particular material is not suitable to make facade. Because I cannot make a facade for a tall structure which can take 3.5 kp of wind load using any other things, rather than, of course, wooden structures can be used, but wood is scarce. Wood is environmentally not an acceptable product for many structures, in fact public utility buildings also. So therefore, aluminum is the only fittest choice as far as those structures are concerned. And then comes the most vital point: why system? Out of 3.5 lakh tons of aluminum extrusion that is produced in India, 50% of that goes in the building industry, and then 50% of that is only system, and rest of the things are going in a steel non-system market. The non-system market in India is so huge, but of course the conversion is quite fast. And let me explain you what is a non-system and what is a system. This is a very fundamental issue. You look at the picture here. I don't think the picture looks good to you. You can see a lot of holes, and those are the holes through which the air and water penetrate. Your window creaks, it leaks, because nothing is compatible with nothing. The extrusion company is deciding they're happy to sell tons. The more tons they sell, the more business they have. They are not thinking about your window or about the 3 kp or 600 Pascal water pressure. Then the accessory maker, the roller designer, or the hinge maker is not thinking that someone, Mr. Extruder, is making an extrusion and fitting my roller for that. So a typical fabricator will buy an extrusion from the market, from a dealer. He will go to Churbaja to buy some accessories here and there. He has no technology and he fits it, and the final product is like that. There is no compatibility in design, totally no focus on the end product, forget about testing, no technology to combine them all, no reference standards of end product, and no test, of course. So therefore you get a product like that. And that's the reason aluminium got a bad name for a long time. 25 years ago, system business entered India. Today all the European companies are in India, all the leading companies are in India, and now 50% of the extrusion is now used in a system which is a much more organized market. Now, what is system? It is standing on 4 pillars: technology, aesthetics, performance, and assurance. And technology means the engineering, the design, the tolerances, the standards, the methods, the specification, the quality parameters, everything that you talk in the engineering language. And aesthetic, it is something of your domain. You talk about look, style, trends. And the trend today is minimalistic architecture. Imagine that you have a 3.5 meter height window. Why 3.5? 6 meter height sliding window with a visible aluminum profile of 21 millimeter, and you see nothing, no other aluminum metal except that 21 millimeter profile. It is only possible with aluminum. because that's the beauty of aluminum. You cannot use any other metal or material to do that. Okay, so that's the trend, that's the style, the look, the style, and the sympathy that comes with the design can be followed using system approach. And then, of course, performance test is very important. I mean, these are very important. Every product that we release in the market are tested as per EN standard, ASTM standards, because in India, we have no standard for Windows, unfortunately. I hope one day we have a IS standard for Windows, like you have EN standard, ASTM standards. I hope that one day it will come. And of course, assurance. We talk about 10 years warranty, 5 years warranty. In different circumstances, without warranty, nothing goes. And that's possible because we deal with the system as a whole. So, at the end, you have a picture like that, which every component fits with each other. You have a nice picture, no gaps. A window performs because it is designed by one entity. We in Allocate design everything starting from extrusion till the last element that goes in the window. So therefore, focus is on the end product. Our designers sit, they try to understand what is the trend in the modern architecture. We take our ideas from designers like you, and then we give a formulability to the products. And engineering standards are followed for performance test. We can say, for example, our window is 3 kPa wind load tested, 300 Pascal water pressure, 450 Pascal air pressure. It means a lot. Really, it means a lot. Because when the test comes, we know when there was Amphan and Fani, this kind of big storm came. From tall towers, windows started flying. We have the videos, you can search YouTube to see flying windows. But that cannot happen when you have a proper technology and these windows are tested. And when it is designed, and this is an example, how the profiles are designed. Look how the drainage is taken care in an aluminum section, in a system window. So, since we are thinking about the totality of the product, when we design the aluminum sections, we also think that how the water will be drained from my window when it is exposed to rain. And there are some myths, and I need to clear this up because today, still, as we talk about aluminum, we also talk sometimes that people think that aluminum is not as versatile as steel. First of all, aluminum is a metal, steel is an alloy. But jargons apart, aluminum can be, as I said, that Tesla, aerospace industry, and also the finer structures all have aluminum because aluminum gives the less amount of load to your foundation. Okay, it is sympathetic. And then, of course, aluminum product never has any health hazards. CDS in US, they actually declared aluminum as a perfectly safe material, and that's why your food can be wrapped in aluminum foil. Your medicine comes in thermostocks which are made of aluminum. And the concept of thicker the better. This is a unique thing. We are facing this kind of questions. How thick is your extrusion? The question is, we should be bothered about the sectional properties. Again, I talk about engineer's language because when we talk about sectional properties, we talk about sectional modulus, moment of inertia, but not thickness. That's the designer's role. We are here to put the thickness in right place of a section so that I have a better sectional modulus, I have a better moment of inertia. But the thicker the better means the concept is dominated by the idea of selling tons. And that's why even in government tenders today, when we have the schedule of quantities, we see aluminum windows per kg. So therefore, these are changing. Of course, these are changing very fast. But it's a myth. The thicker the better. Thicker the heavier for sure, not better. A thicker section could be having a bit lower sectional properties. And if I design a section in an efficient way, it can perform much better. So what is our inspiration? Our inspiration is an experience center that we opened yesterday. And our partner here in Chandigarh, who has done more than 200 projects in the Tri-City. Fantastic villas and projects, even larger projects. So in Sector 82, I kindly invite all of you, if you want to see the latest technologies in Windows and you want to experience them, please come and visit in Sector 82, JLPL Road, Mohali. We are there. some of the glimpses of the showroom. You have seen all the products, different type of product are displayed over there. And some of the finest projects by some of you in the city of Chandigarh, we are proud of them. And of course, these are few villas, a few buildings that I want to take you through. Some of the nicest project we do. And just for your information, in Burj Khalifa, at different levels you have a balcony. I'm not talking about the facade, but all the balcony doors are allocated doors in Burj Khalifa. That's why we are specialists in tall towers as well. We have more than 10, 45-story towers in India, mostly in Mumbai, also in Calcutta. In Sri Lanka, we are the market leader. And I will show you some of the pictures of Sri Lankan project. This is Beijing Atlantis. It is all by Aluke. This is Address Hotel in Dubai, Novotel, Taj Grandeur in Dubai. It's a beautiful hotel again in Beijing. The Westin Hyderabad, Ward of Astoria, Dubai. This is the Taj Presidency. Taj Vivanta in Bhubaneswar. Trident Hotel in Gurgaon. Bangalore International Airport, the first phase of glazing, what you see in the airport building is Aluke facade. This is the BNP Paribas building in Mecca City in Mumbai. This is a beautiful project in Colombo, 55-story clear point. It's the tallest vertical garden in Asia. When the project was launched, they actually advertised like that. And it's a beautiful project. Again, you can imagine the kind of challenge we have when we do such kind of buildings. It is a sea-facing tower and with a lot of challenges in specification, but we have done this project with a lot of pride. ITC Gardenia, 100% platinum rated green building. This is a 5-star hotel in Bangalore and all the windows are aluminum. Rinlawn Knowledge Park in Mumbai. This is a famous building in the 100-feet road in Indiranagar, Bangalore. Again, the facade is done by Aluke. This is also a solar dome in Calcutta, Eco Park in Calcutta. This is again executed by Aluke. Solar dome. It's a museum. This is in Bangalore, one project, a residential project. We have this, when I'm talking about tall towers, 2 of these towers are made by Aluke, 45-story plus in Orly, in Lower Parel in Mumbai. And it is also very high spec project, very high end, where I think the apartments sold at 33,000 rupees per square feet and more. Very premium and very high spec project. This is also another LNT reality project, Emerald Isle, Imperial Heights. You can see a lot of tall tower construction. So this is monumental. Today we are talking about monumental architecture. So we can shape, we can realize your dreams in monumental architecture by providing our products. Saifi Park in Mumbai, 60-story, exquisite apartment, Oberoi Realty in Mumbai. Marathon Heights. Now this is the first project of Marathon Realty, and the next project of Marathon Realty, 64-story tower is awarded to us, and we are executing that project in Mumbai now, in Baikula in Mumbai. There is also a beautiful project near the golf club in Tollygunge in Calcutta, RSA signature. So I have several references like that. This is a beautiful one, again in Colombo, being executed by Sapurji Palomji Group. They are the main contractors, but all the windows are supplied by us. 60-story plus. Colombo. Department of Labor is a Sri Lankan government building. And that's about my presentation. Thank you very much.
And now we move on to the most awaited part of the evening, our panel discussions. We'd like to begin with the dynamic doyens panel, the stalwarts of the design industry. And to commence this session, I'd like to welcome back on stage our curator and moderator for the evening, Architect Sangeet Sharma, to kindly conduct the doyens panel discussion and introduce and invite all our dear panelists present here. So can we please have you on stage? Can we please have a huge round of applause for our moderator for tonight? Thank you, sir. I now leave the forum to you. Looking forward to a brilliant panel discussion.
So good guys, we are back and already we are late and I was given 40 minutes to conclude, so let me see how we can do it. Not going to bore you at all, क्योंकि अगर आप बोर होगे तो हम भी बोर हो जाएंगे. Along with me invite Vandana Singh on stage, our first panelist. Dear friend, and she's in JJ College, and she trained with Satnam Namita, and I'm very proud that she has also learned from Mr. S.D. Sharma, so we have a common guru, and each time we are together at certain places, I feel very proud of her. And her basic training, besides these two offices, is from Spazio, and where she has rubbed shoulder with people like Mr. Abdullah. Welcome aboard, Vandana. Looking forward. May I invite Pritipal Singh ji on stage? He is the present chairman of IIA Punjab, and a very eminent architect. He's got offices in Ludhiana, Patiala. He's also in Mumbai now. Does great jobs and serving our community through IIA. Welcome, sir. Board. May I request Satish Panwal on stage, please. Satish is a CCU product. Trained in Chandigarh and doing many projects in Chandigarh and elsewhere. Allow me to invite Mr. Sanjay Goyal on stage. CCU product again. He's the chairman of the Smart City in Ludhiana, and he's the ex-chairman of IIA. So we have present and past IIAs here. और मैंने इनको बोल दिया कि IIA के बारे में बात नहीं करेंगे. I also want to invite Badrinath on stage, please. And you all know him. A maverick of architecture, Badrinath Kareru. And प्रेरणा नहीं है आज छोड़ा है इसको घर में. You know, we people who are married to architects, we have a tough time. And क्योंकि वो गलतियाँ निकालती हैं हमारी चीज़ों में, so better है कि घर छोड़ो उसको. But not in my case, and she's here, pretty much here only. When we have a panel of this kind, of such variety, I think we're looking at some very important stuff. मैं थोड़ा सा थीम के बारे में बता देता हूँ जल्दी. हमारा time is limited. When there is, and you'll be surprised कि वो सारी महाभारत जो छिड़ी थी, it was because of architecture. आपको पता है इस बात का? मैं आपको बताता हूँ. And Duryodhan was trying to admire the Indraprastha Bhavan, Bhavya Mahal, and suddenly, out of illusion, he fell into the pond. And Draupadi, जैसे लड़कियां होती हैं, she laughed at him, and out of revenge, Mahabharata छिड़ गया. So architecture became the cause of the greatest war of India. Amazing. Nevertheless, जब हम कोई चीज़ celebrate करते हैं, we have Qutub Minars and Buland Darwazas. Famine जब होता है, again it is the architecture. In Lucknow, जब famine हो गया तो उस समय Asaf-ud-Daula was the king, and he says कि भीख मैं नहीं दूंगा. People have to earn. So he started building fort. He started building monuments. And people used to work, और वो उनको शाम को उनको सैलरी देते थे. And the word came कि जिसको ना दे मौला, उसको दे Asaf-ud-Daula. I mean, that's the kind of, architecture started playing a role in our daily lives so beautifully. And वो जब हम लोग बनाते हैं बिल्डिंग्स तो हमें ख्याल आता है कि यार what a greatest amount of contribution we do. Inclusivity में जब हम बात करें, because the theme is monumentality and inclusivity, we all are making buildings which are inclusive. I think some of the finest examples is Corwell. एक inclusivity में हर चीज include हो जाती है, but what it makes is the society, and that's what is the beauty of inclusivity. हर तरह के जो लोग वहाँ पे रह रहे हैं, there are people who are making their own buildings, own styles, and that community like Orwell becomes the all-inclusive architecture. आज हम उसी के बारे में बात करेंगे, and the point which it becomes is हम लोग चंडीगढ़ के हैं तो I'm compelled to speak about it also. I think the finest example of modern inclusivity is Chandigarh. French के master planner, English team who did the housing, Indians who were working as assistant architects and who built the whole team, and absolutely uneducated modeler who translated the master's plans into making models. अगर वो model ना बनते तो आज चंडीगढ़ की बिल्डिंगें किसी को समझ ना आती. So I think that whole it became a community, and this is the greatest modern example like this. Having said that, I think the opinions of everybody is important because we are understanding it's a new theme. So हमने सोचा कि हम इसके बारे में बात करते हैं. Ladies first की बात करेंगे. Vandana, start with you. Is inclusivity and monumentality बड़े-बड़े लफ्ज़ हैं. उनको हमने छोटा करना है, उसको हमने समझना है. Are they interlinked? Or there is something which you want to, as a starting of the buffet, you want to say something. थोड़ा सा हमें उसके बारे में आप brief करें.
Hi everyone. Thanks Sangeet for the kind words. We've been friends for 34 years. We were just reconnecting today, saying it was 34 years that I started working with.
And I said, यार हम इतने बुढ़े हो गए हैं.
I said, look, मेरे से अभी 2 साल बहुत होता है. So anyway, so I would just say that monumentality in history started off as something that it was an ideological statement which started with rulers, autocrats, dictators trying to cow down the general public or to, so that they would look up in awe. So in that sense, it was not inclusive at all. But there were also, there were projects or there were buildings that were made earlier which were to commemorate or facilitate or to celebrate certain events, whether it was winning a war or a new king becoming a monarch or something. Yes, at that time there was inclusivity, but there's something more than just monumentality and inclusivity. There's something which symbolizes the whole era or a whole generation. And when you look back at monumentality or buildings built at that era, there is a sense of place, there is a sense of recognition, there is a sense of identity that people had with a certain building. So inclusivity was essentially a part of it, but in history, ideologically, it was not really inclusive. So I don't know if there's a paradigm here whether...
Yeah, we can always connect and reconnect it. So there's one thing, just to ask you this question. So in your opinion, inclusivity makes a difference. Yeah. How are we going to identify inclusivity, all inclusiveness? This came from
See, as you have already named about the Chandigarh. So I think for the monumentality and the inclusivity, they both has to be a balance, and which is, I think, very good balance is done in the Chandigarh. For example, we are having the 3 pillars of a democracy, court,
and assembly, and these all are given a very good monument type of structures. And on the other side, inclusivity is well managed in the sectors, the sector plannings, everything is planned so that every age people or from every economy stage, either he is a poor or he is a rich, they can enjoy the green, they can enjoy the views of Shivalik. They all, in the neighborhood planning, everybody is placed like, so that everybody should enjoy the each and every. When we are having the high going traffic on the roads, we are also having the pedestrian pathways and the green, lush greens, so that you can move from one corner to the another corner. So this is the way that, so that the inclusivity should be there. And I also agree with the ma'am's opinion that in the earlier time, monuments were just the symbols of power or the symbol of, you may say the few are the also symbols of egos. And they used to do their overpower and show that yes, we are the rich and all that. But I think inclusivity has to be because architecture is for the humans and for the humanity. And that has to be balanced only by doing the inclusivity. Monument should be given its part only to encourage the showcase of the building.
Wonderful. Very nice. Very nice. Badri? When we bring projects of a scale which is, say, we just discussed monumentality, bड़ी buildings, छोड़ दें इसके बारे में. Let's talk of interior projects, or let's talk of a space, इस तरह की space है, उसके अंदर हमने इस तरह की inclusivity करनी है. How do you manage it? I mean, you're doing such good projects. So, what kind of philosophy you choose between these two words? If you want to say something.
Okay, first when we distinguish monumentality and inclusivity. So the word monument leads to something which is exclusive, which is opposite of what we say, which is inclusive.
Yeah.
So there are two different elements of it, and they are completely different in nature. They can coexist, yes, they can coexist at different levels. So for example, if you talk about the temples, which are like temple cities down south in Tamil Nadu, where it talks about how the whole, like this, it used to be a city in itself, which is monumental. It used to be a city in itself, so it was inclusive at the same time. It was something which is monumental. So there could be ways and possible, and as you said, like how you balance in projects. So every project is built for a purpose. So like if you talk about clothes, it's either sometimes it's about style and sometimes it's about comfort. Sometimes it's about both. So something which is inclusive is about comfort. Something which is monumental is about style. So if there is a building which is primarily like a commercial building, it would desire a certain amount of monumentality because that's the essence of how we need to stand out from the crowd, and that's how it is to be. But probably when it is something more of a building where it could, a public space could blend into what the surroundings are, and it could be completely exclusive. And when you do interior projects, it's also about choosing which parts of different century. It's more like those two are like two different natures, but they coexist to create a balance.
You recently you're a follower of Isha, and I think the whole area of Isha Foundation is so beautiful. It's all inclusive, which does not build its image on monumentality, but still the area, the ethos, the culture, the whole spirituality reverberates there. I think that's one of the beautiful examples which I forgot to mention, and you're a great follower of Isha, and I also work in Coimbatore, so I thought that this is very beautifully done. You want to say something?
Yeah, it's like very nicely said. For example, whatever the work the organization was doing, they've been doing it for all this time. But people who don't know the organization and what they actually do would also know about it because of the monumental statue, which is probably one of the largest.
That's just added recently.
Yes.
But that's again an image of God. So उसमें monumentality, उसका the scale is big, but it doesn't boast anything. It doesn't show off. It's just it says that the Lord is Lord Shiva is there. So,
Definitely, that's what I meant. So that's why it is a subtle balance where they can coexist. When we talk about the same thing, which could be monumental and inclusive as well, is only about they can exist at different levels.
Correct. Sanjay sir, and you're working in smart cities, you're working for cities in Punjab, and does a city need a monumental structure to have its identity? जरूरी है क्या ये? मतलब ऐसा तो है नहीं, मतलब there are cities जिसके अंदर इस तरह के structures होते भी नहीं हैं. But when you're working in terms of the development of cities, आपका opinion क्या है? I mean, we require a thing like this.
Yes, agreed. I have the opinion that majority of the Indian cities, let us talk about the top 50 or 100 cities, the monumental buildings are must to attract the tourism and many more things. Leave aside 20 buildings, 20 cities of India or the religious tourism-oriented cities. Most of the cities or upcoming smart cities are lacking, tourism. And tourism is important where there is a monumental architecture exists a lot. We have seen many cities, for example, in Punjab, Jalandhar, Ludhiana, they are not having any monumental buildings at all, as compared to Chandigarh. Our officer is having a golden temple and many things. So I am of the opinion that I had attended many meetings and conferences pertaining to Smart City Mission, that flow of tourists, flow of humans into the cities is must, airport is must, many things are must, including the monumental architecture buildings.
मतलब आप ये कहना है कि हर सिटी में monumental structure होना चाहिए. I see. We'll come back to that. You want to say something? And Stage, you're working in CU also, at Chandigarh University. So which project of yours, let's go shift the debate थोड़ा सा, is both inclusive and monumental? ऐसा भी होता है क्या? I mean, is there something which you can build together? या ऐसी कोई essence है Stage? बता सकते हो मेरे को कुछ?
Yes sir, we are designing multiple buildings in that campus, and due to its form and requirements, the scale is very large, and of course due to large scale, we have make a huge porch, right? Huge structure is too big, right? So as far as monumentality is concerned or inclusivity is concerned, in my opinion, monumentality and inclusivity both should attach with each other.
Both should. We can combine it to make a nice building.
Because अगर कोई building बन रही है, if there is a building standing there, and it's if I'm talking about the Chandigarh Capital Complex. So Chandigarh Capital Complex is surrounded by the backdrop of Shivalikals, but forefront is by low density housing.
That's right.
Right? So surrounding itself shows the monumentality and the other architectural elements also, like bright soleil, long corridors. So there are so many things.
You're trying to say that there is a possibility to combine the both.
Yeah, why not?
Doing in your project.
Yeah, why not? Because in our project we are doing ramps, right? Raised signages, tactiles. These are very important.
As a part of inclusive architecture, yes. Let's have some different definition of monumentality. I mean, अभी हम सिर्फ ये बातें कर रहे हैं बड़ी buildings की, it has to have. Can you give a little different dimension to monumentality?
Well, first of all, the minute that we talk about a building which is monumental and inclusive, what is the one point that has to permeate through that? It is the user. It is the people who are using that building.
क्या बात?
right? So if we place the user at the heart of that building, it becomes inclusive because you are catering to that person. Very often we go to a very large building. I'll tell you a small anecdote. My son was 2.5 years old and he had to have a surgery. And we had taken him to Fortis and he saw that large building and he was little, you know, taken aback, and the scale or whatever of the building probably got him unnerved. And 2 weeks later, we took him to Vivek High School for his admission test, and he sees this big building, and he thought he's back in hospital. So it was that scale that frightened this little child. So when we look at a monumental building, we forget that there's one human being, a 5.5 foot tall person who is going to be the user of that building. So as long as we put that person as in the heart of that building, I think we won the battle.
Great shot. And Badri, you were in Paris, weren't you? So Paris में वो जो Eiffel Tower है, I think जैसे संजय जी ने बताया कि you attract tourism. So Eiffel Tower attracts I think 70% of the tourists, and ऐसा हो नहीं सकता कि वहाँ पे जाएंगे और देखेंगे नहीं. So that became an emblem. So monumental architecture becomes an emblem of a city or a country or any such thing. What was your reaction seeing the Eiffel Tower Palais, and how do you identify that as monumentality? Did you bring back something after your training as a part of this rich culture?
So basically, like yes, once for I think.
थोड़ा सा इसमें चीज़ ये है कि all of us are meeting for I think for second time, and all the questions are coming as a shock to everybody. So that's why the speakers are taking extra slide time. Go on.
So basically, like yes, when I was there for the first time, so all I wanted was okay, I have to be at the Eiffel Tower and be there and be at different parts of it and embrace it and what it is. And then you get to understand, like as architecture students, you're always excited about how the structure and what it has done. So to answer the impact of monumentality, today nowadays we are in a world where probably tourism was driven by architecture. And if you go to Dubai, when they started building right in the 90s, and they started building different structures, it was more about...
Dubai thrives on basic monumentality. I mean, there is no architect of repute who is not working in Dubai. And I think it changes the skyline every year. I mean, people get every year to learn. There's no better city in the world where we can do masters in architecture just by looking at it. Go on.
So we call it like when it all started with probably like how Frank Gehry started a building in Bilbao, which is an industrial town, which actually barely had anything and people coming into it, which actually worked in the favor of the city, which we call as the Bilbao effect, wherein having one monumental building would completely change the way how people would come in. It would actually bring in more tourism, it would bring in more people, and it would completely change the scape of it. But to give you an alternate perspective, when I was talking to Glenn Murcutt and I asked about monumentality, he being a proponent of inclusivity, and so he told me like when tourism happens, it starts with the death of the place. So
it starts with the death of the place.
The place starts dying once it becomes a touristic place. Okay. For example, like Venice is a dead city. People go there because of the whole vibe of the place and everything. But there hardly any people live there. They're just photos who are like living. It's just like a Disneyland in the part of this thing, where it is completely, it's just the monumentality. And that's where you see that it's at the peak of monumentality. You start, the place becomes so exclusive that the inclusivity of the place actually dies. Because if you create a balance in terms of, for example, in Europe, wayfinding is easier because you have monumental churches in different parts, and you know that which part of like Milan is one city we get to travel to often. Okay, and we have a big chapel, Duomo. And around Duomo, you know, like behind this you have these places, and it has been, it helps you for wayfinding, right?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the ways, you know, that the monumentality, it shows you direction. I'll get back to you. And Pritpalji, so in your particular project in Kutub thing in Zerapur, which you have designed, sorry? Orbit, yes, I was seeing your profile. Very nicely done. So how do you manage to inculcate both these things? Or were you thinking in terms of monumentality? या उस जैसे buildings में in a place like Zerapur में क्या आपने कुछ सोचा था या आपने कुछ any of your ideas through your projects?
Sir, this is on the same lines as Sir has already said. In the commercial buildings, we use generally a monument scale to attract the people to enter the building. But once they enter the building, inclusivity is the must. The user experience is very must. And that's why earlier when we started that building, there was something planned or thought of the promoters to make it some closed sort of building. Instead of that, we made that building around a courtyard. In that courtyard, a vehicle can go to the lower ground floor also, and that is open to the sky. We have also introduced some community park sort of within the commercial building, so that the people should feel that they are coming, they can come anytime, they can come. It should not be like a mall that they should wear a pant or a shirt. They can also come by wearing a Bermuda. So that the main reason is, if it is inclusive, then only everybody should come at the every time, and the market has to go to bring the customer in the morning and the evening. We plan something like that. We had put the parkings even in the lower basement. You can take your car even to the last rear courtyard also, and or to make it a monument sort of attraction so that people should come. We had made a triple story entrance. In the triple story entrance, all top 2 stories has been connected so that you can have the view of entire city, where we had planned some sort of this microbreweries and all that. And you can have some type.
This is why I mentioned this project. It's a good project. Chandigarh. So when we are making buildings for religion, you working for SGPC, and so when you are, making specific buildings for specific people, you have to incorporate the existing religious elements in that. For example, if I tomorrow have to make a पहले मैं आपसे पूछता हूँ, then I give you example. बताइए sir. So I saw your school. Okay. And it has got some monument stuff, iconic from Gurdwara types. तो वो डालना जरूरी होता है. How do you actually fabricate a structure for this kind of client?
Actually, I designed a school, Nankana Sahib Public School in Ludhiana, which is under the aegis of Shiromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee, Shri Amritsar. The school is inspired from birthplace of Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji in Nankana Sahib, Pakistan. So even I saw that photograph, although I visited Pakistan in one of the delegation, but could not visit that Nankana Sahib at that time because there are many restrictions whenever we get the visa, we can go to a particular city. So it was really challenging for me to incorporate Sikh architecture, Punjabi architecture, many features into an education institutions. And I'm really surprised that we have come up with good architecture, number of arches and domes on all sides. And I'm really surprised that my clients is cooperating well, and I am spending like anything on the terrace floor also. Otherwise, for an architect, spending on terrace floor does not matter at all. It is on the least site. But my domes are coming and school is 4 side open and good visibility, and now it has come up nicely. So it looks like a monumental building now on a completion. So it was a bit challenging to start it on a symmetry, stability basis, keeping the religious architecture, especially the Sikh architecture in mind. And at the end of the project, we are very much satisfied that it is representing the true culture of Sikhism and Nankana Sahib in Pakistan.
Wonderful. But I must tell you, although religion dictates most of the monumentality, sir, If you see the new temple of ISKCON by Mr. Sanjay Mohe in Bangalore, what an amazing architect. I mean the whole of the the ethos of making a temple is broken by him. A concrete का ऐसे इस तरह का shape का temple, right? Amazing.
I think we have lots of modern architects who have kind of swayed away from iconography.
Broken the barriers of
I
such
mean, see
things.
Longchamp. I mean, see how beautifully it's been designed, and to anybody, if the cross wasn't there, you couldn't tell what building it was, right? But it's the inside of it. It is the feeling of containment. It is the feeling of being protected when you're inside that structure. That again brings the same point, that it brings the people at the heart of that building.
Sure. Surely. I mean, Tadawondo's building, if you see, this church, talking of Longchamp, and दीवार के अंदर एक क्रॉस है यार, और पीछे से जब लाइट आती है ना, I mean, you actually kneel in reverence. That's where God resides. I mean, that's where God lives. And just a small thing, and there's a cross in it, and so beautiful thing is. See, let's talk about Chandigarh here. नहीं तो फिर बड़ा बोरिंग हो जाएगा, तो वो थोड़ा सी बात करते हैं. So, what's monumentality of the city? Yeah, you feel it is there or it's not there? Yeah, that we're going to conclude very soon. So let's conclude on some positive issues. I have a fantastic panel of young guys to be elected.
Sir, Chandigarh itself is an example of a monumentality.
Yeah.
Right. As I earlier said, Capitol Complex is the inspiring example, which is surrounded by, I already told you, right? So each and every building in Capitol Complex, either it's an open hand monument, either it's a high court building, assembly hall, or a tower of shadow, due to their scale and elaborate details, like Bryce-Soleil, large scale columns, so prime color palettes, voids. This sets Chandigarh apart from other cities as a monumental city.
Surely, and Lee Corbusier as an architect is, I think one of the greatest contribution is that he made a monumental plus building, Capitol Complex. But then he also made the open hand, where he said कि ये सब काम करने के बाद भाई शाम को आके sit together, talk, so that inclusivity in that monumentality is super. I mean, he talked about what you said was a human scale and human mind.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not many of Chandigarh citizens have experienced that space.
Not many people know that there is a trench of contemplation. समझते हैं कि वो दूर से हाथ देखते हैं बाबा करके आ जाते हैं.
We were part of the Chandigarh Urban Festival in 2019, so we did a survey to ask citizens, because we did citizen workshops at different community centers, and we realized that 5% of Chandigarh citizens had even gone past that roundabout which goes on to the Capitol Complex, because the scale is so daunting, right? And what didn't help was the security situation. You need chief architect से permission लो, tourism center में अपना PAN card submit करो.
It's very sad all this.
So what is inclusive in that anymore? It was designed as a very inclusive space, but somewhere we got lost in the scale of that complex, that citizen, I think the architects are the odd ones out who have visited and keep going back because it's so inspiring to all of us. But very, very few people in normal walks of life have actually visited. And it is really sad. I was going through, he made me do a lot of homework this last week. I was reading through a couple of books. There was a comment by some international architect who said that Chandigarh was on the tourist map because of Nek Chand's rock garden and not because of the Capitol Complex.
Yeah.
And it was really sad.
always planned inclusive, but I think because of the democratic state with all the chief ministers moving around and other things, so they have to make it cut off, aloof it somehow, which is very sad. And just as a last, just as a last note, not getting into any controversy, just to say that Bimal Patel is a very dear friend, and they are a very big firm, and their fathers have been contemporaries to my father. They say that जो नया जो विस्टा बना है, उसमें वो monumentality lack करती है. No, it's just an opinion of various people. कि जो पहली वाली पार्लियामेंट बिल्डिंग है, all the standing alone, उसकी जो power है, उसका जो enigma है, जो endurance है, so damn good. Probably this vista could be more monumental. But that's again a point of order of an architect. It's maybe the demand of the client, maybe the government wanted it so. But this is what they say. It could be actually rather more monumental in scale.
So for rather Chandigarh, I would like to again appreciate and compare it with the Delhi. If you compare with the Delhi, in the Delhi 3% in the 3% land, only 1% rich people are staying, and on other comparison, in the another 3%, almost 10% of rather 30% of the slums are there, where the poor people, you may say, or those who can't afford, they are staying. And on contrary, if you see the Chandigarh, I think it is more inclusive. Chandigarh is, that's why it has planned in a monumental scale that they are having according to the town planning also. And inclusivity is, I think, much better in the Chandigarh than any other sort of planned towns. Even you can compare it with Jaipur also. So it is, I think, Chandigarh, this has the plus point, no doubt, due to some political and whatever. And one more, I think I would like to say, as Sanjay sir has said, that there are no monuments in the Punjab. This may be certainly due to the reason that because Punjab was very difficult to be invaded by the foreigners, and that's why, because the large monuments you see in the other states, that is due to the reason of the Mughal architecture and those who invaded from the outside. So you may say that we are not having such large monuments in our past history because we are more lucky. We may say that we are more lucky. We had never allowed anybody to destroy any temple and make any mosque, and we have never allowed anybody to show their own power, because Punjabiyan की nature ही जो है ना, वो वैसी monumental है, खान दे विच भी, पीन दे विच भी, they are always monument है ना. So and they are, on other side, they are inclusive also, as the langar and pangat is there. So by nature we are having monument, and by nature we are having.
Besides Punjab was always on a border state, and so all the area, Afghanistan, Punjab was always at the brim of war. So they were the one which was like a protection wall. So यहाँ पे हमें ज़्यादा उस तरह की scale buildings नहीं मिलती हैं. So wherever there is a border state, the people are more vigilant. So survival is important. Anyway, I think friends, so far so good. And anybody else wants to say anything? I would like the audience to participate with us. हम उनको ज़रा बोर ना करें और वो कुछ हमारे साथ include हो जाएं तो it better. Anybody wants to say something? Join us.
So I have a little problem with the whole premise of this conversation, because to me monumentality has something to do with scale and size, which is an aspiration. It's a want. It's not a need. While inclusivity is a need, it is required.
Surely.
So the fact that we are pitting one against the other, there's something not right, because one is an absolute no-brainer. It has to do with social justice, equality, all of that. And the other is to do with, how amazing am I
the whole debate
to build.
To bring it together. I mean, we are all trying to culminate the whole things together and bring it some kind of connection between the two.
I
inclusivity by itself, it's a value in architecture that has to be included.
So monument has to be compared generally by the human scale. तो syllabus में जो पढ़ा था उससे थोड़ा difference question आ गया है. Monument versus inclusive.
Quite right. अगर syllabus को opposite से फैला का तो बैठने का यहाँ पे ना. The whole idea is that I catch you red-handed like this.
So, you know,
You're answering your sister?
I'm genuinely answering.
Okay.
No, I'm not answering my sister.
Okay.
So, I was surprised when I was doing little homework before coming in front of Master C. Sharma. I read this very interesting statement which Maxwell Fry wrote. Okay, and I think it was written by Mrs. Kiran Namgia, Kiran Joshi ma'am. Maxwell Fry said, a gargantuan scale of a building is no passport to immortality. Isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it's such a thought-provoking, and it's exactly what it's coming to that. That if you're thinking about just accessibility standards, which all our controlling authorities
And norms and other people tell us to do.
all your codes, and you don't think about the user experience, we've lost it then.
Agreed. Agreed.
So it is important that if it's monumental and if you're not catering to what a person who's going to be using that monumental structure or even viewing it from the outside,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely. So there is a connection to it.
There is a connection.
There is a demand that we showcase monumentality, but we make sure that it is used as a
Can I add something? The monumental scale.
ये तो बड़ा
Monument of you are
ये बड़ा
talking
खतरनाक हो
about.
गया है. एक तो टीचर है और मेरी बीवी है.
The inclusivity. Are we looking at only accessibility in that inclusivity for monumental scale? Monument to enter only accessibility are we looking at? Or we are looking at diversity, the community integration, or the grandeur? What we are looking at? How inclusive?
No,
engagement.
we discussed that. I mean, we talked about Isha, we talked about Oravan. I mean, that connectivity as a society, we just discussed that. What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say, is it inclusivity only accessibility in monumental?
No. It is accessibility, yes, but it is in embracing the structure. I would say it's engaging a human being in the structure. It's engaging the user in that scale.
Anybody else wanted to say something? You want to say something?
So,
quickly, we're running out of time, so just make the answer very quick.
Yeah, actually, we can understand the premise of inclusivity probably from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Let's say when we talk about technology, it's always inclusive, right? Today we have mobile phones which probably are a fraction of cost of each other, which has most of the features. So whatever happens in technology by nature is inclusive, and architecture by nature is exclusive because it is not available for most of it. It is not available. Like as we are architects, like for example, doctors are more inclusive because the profession is such that they can include to everybody. We as professionals, we are exclusive. We can't even reach to 5% of the population of the world. Beyond that, we can't actually do it. That's where we look at public buildings as monuments, which are accessible. Where, for example, we talk about temples of the south, because the rulers actually made a lot of temples during that time. And it used to be a celebration, it used to be a space where everybody used to go to. And even if you see culturally, like when in those cultures, they built structures which were for the community. They were inclusive structures for the community where everybody can access. And the people where they were actually living it was, though they were monumental, at the same time they were inclusive. When we talk about something like Antilia, which is completely like exclusive, which is totally monumental in nature, which is a different paradigm of how we look at like architecture exists. But when we talk about something, when we start organizing things, it becomes monumental. When we leave it to liberate, it becomes inclusive.
Somebody was asking,
I would just add
Yeah.
one little thing. I would say if we move away from architecture, look at design on the whole. Look at street art, how inclusive it is.
Surely it is most inclusive. The whole idea of street art is to be inclusive.
So when we look at design on a larger scale, it is inclusive. We just have to look in the correct direction.
Super.
Right?
Nice thing. Ma'am, कुछ कहना चाहते हैं? Right, please.
Say only one thing, that when we talk about monumental structure, it means that it is timeless. It is the intent of the designer that goes into the depths to create something which is memorable of the time when it was made, and it is memorable for the person who enters or goes there even after centuries and centuries of time. So for example, when I visited this Odisha temple, which is Sankonak temple, built in the century, 13th century, I was surprised to see the intent of the ruler who designed it. I am not remembering his name right now, but I was surprised that it was with the chariot, the first ray of the sun should fall inside the deity, and the depth into which he could have thought in making that temple, and the community, larger section of the community who helped in making his dream coming true. That is the monumental. And if we talk about the inclusive architecture is the one which is meeting the functional requirements of each and every human beings. It is at a town level, it is at a housing level, it is in the schools, all buildings, whatever we design in today's life, they are inclusive architecture.
Sure.
And the monumental architecture is beyond the time.
Fantastic, ma'am. ठीक है. ये मोहिता का आपने चुरा लिया क्या आंसर? उसने भी तो बोलना है. अच्छा, इसको देखिए. Yeah, this is somebody was saying something. Yeah. Please, Mike, please. मैंने बोला ना, टीचरों को ही आना चाहिए यहाँ पे.
Last में जा रही हूँ फिर इसके बाद. Won't have any more complaints.
Yeah, please.
I just wanted to say it's not necessary for a landmark to be a monument. And you guys were discussing about something being memorable. That is a landmark, and that does not have to be monument.
Agree. A landmark basically it can be a commemoration of a city. We're going by. It's never a drink here.
Made a presence felt.
Surely. Ma'am, Mike, please, Bombay. Let's all talk. I mean, we are all engaging with each other. Let's all talk.
Hello everyone. Good evening and thank you. It was amazing debate today. So I like to add a certain point. It's like I believe monumental is not just the scale of the building. It's also how the perspective, how you look at the building. So raising a building on a podium, let's say I'm putting some stairs on there and putting some more levels which is raised from the existing levels, itself create a sense of monumentality to it. And even that building can be a scale to a human scale. It doesn't need to be a monumental scale. Like basically the exterior, the landscape, like I have seen in Europe that even sometimes the palaces were not that grand, but the landscape or the outside areas are being created to give that perspective of looking towards a monumentality. So I believe creating a structure which is more on a human scale, but providing it, blending it with the exterior landscape in a way that create a sense of monumentality will answer the question of having inclusivity and monumentality together, and also it kind of be a place where people don't feel like this is like really grand or like approachable. More the point that it kind of sustains its monumentality and exclusivity, but it doesn't demeans the fact of the people around it, the user groups who are actually using it. So it kind of blends answers the both sides.
If I could put it straight, what you're saying, ma'am, that a perspective angle, a visual angle is much more important when you create buildings of this nature.
Exactly.
When you come to Taj Mahal, there is a place for which you see the whole building. Then you say, wow, that's the place. So that perspectivity, that angularity when you place a building also contributes to make it monumental.
Exactly.
Great. Yes, anybody else from here, please?
Thank you.
There. We'll have to hear your views. Purnima, you're next. Coming. She's raising her hand now.
Hello everyone, I'm Khushi Singla. I wanted to ask that somehow the conversation on monumentality and inclusivity stirred around religion and ornamentation of a building a lot. But I wanted to ask, what do you actually mean by inclusivity? Because why aren't we talking about inclusivity in terms of class? For example, I'm new to the city, and when I kind of ask people for Chandigarh, they're like, XY sector is divided. XY sector is where the rich people live, and XY sector is where maybe the lower middle class people live. And also, like in a book of Image of the City by Kevin Lynch, it talks about how a layman understands a city. And if you talk to people who are not from Chandigarh and who are not architects and ask them what is Chandigarh, they'll tell you the planned city is Chandigarh, or the city that is designed by a Corbusier. Nobody will talk about Capitol Complex or some other monumental buildings. So I wanted to ask what do you actually mean by inclusivity through a layman perspective and about the monumentality?
Okay, so very briefly, so when the city was planned, it was planned in such a way, so it was actually planned like almost like a human shape. The head being the Capitol Complex, the heart being Sector 17, and the arms and legs being the residential area, the industrial area, the fringes were the hands. So it was like a schematic layout of a human body. And I mean, when you see the modular man, it kind of reinforces that same thing. And see, when you design a city, you have to have pockets for different requirements, right? So it was designed as such. It's just that sadly, because of security issues and the whole administration that has made the Capitol Complex less inclusive. It was designed as inclusive. It was called the People's Plaza. The Janmarg is the People's Street. So it was from the inception very inclusive, but it's just that administratively somewhere down the line we've missed the
We have the chief architects of Chandigarh here. Sarwal Saab, आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे? ठीक है. So, okay, I think. No, it is. The whole city is based on the human scale. और क्या हो सकता है? I mean, it's a modular scale which governs. Even the monumentality of Capitol Complex is based on the human scale. Leonardo da Vinci did it 100 years ago. After 100 years, it was Corbusier who did it, and it's all golden section. It's all the scale. So how it can be not inclusive? That's number one. Oh my God.
Why it is so different? Why
it's technically in Punjab.
Let's not say that. Modern है ये तो सर बैठे. पंजाबी बैठे हैं modern है ये. नहीं ऐसी बात नहीं. Also, to answer your question very straight way, which is very unfortunate. चंडीगढ़ के पंचकुला मोहाली देख लो आप. Is it any way inspired from Chandigarh? हम आपस में बैठ के the Tri-City, they could not be inspired. And you're very right. Chandigarh airport would have been something very monumental, something very, that kind of an image where a person lands and says, wow, this is Chandigarh. missed the bus, missed the point.
Just out of the two, just 2 minutes. If any of you get a chance, just Google and see JUMP. It's a building in a city called Boise in Idaho. It stands for Jack's Urban Meeting Place, JUMP. And it started off as a museum by the famous Simplot family, who were the big agricultural moguls of America. And he had a collection of 130 or 150 tractors, which were like antique pieces of running tractors. So what he wanted to do is he wanted to make a museum. It is a museum, but it has been incorporated in a very interactive kind of a building. So you have, people can go in there. You can have a class for cooking. You can do dancing. You can do art. You can do sculpture. Within that, it's about 22 acres of land, and just Google it, go through it. That is monumentality and inclusiveness, because it brings collective
the community together. Sanjay ji, आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे?
I was just going to endorse Purnima Madam comments. Chandigarh, I would like to endorse, is one of the best in city with the example of inclusivity as compared to other cities of India. For example, just to the lighter side, Ludhiana is producing the bicycles, not even a single bicycle track. Chandigarh is the city with the best bicycle tracks. So this is just one example. So there are hundreds of examples that Chandigarh is leading all over not India but all over Asia or world in terms of beauty, in terms of best planning, in terms of inclusivity. Thank you.
But she has a point that Chandigarh could not inspire more Chandigarhs. It could not inspire even the satellite cities. And it's very strange. We have an example in front of our eyes and we can't very well copy it.
Actually, I think earlier cities were planned for the humans. Now, if you see them wholly, they are planned by the promoters, looking, I think, economy or their profit, because like the government has relaxed the FAR without giving the parkings and everything. And the inclusiveness for accessibility and all things, I think NBC is the only reason the young people, those who are practicing in the architecture, they will accept this. ये टाउन प्लानिंग वाले या आर्किटेक्चर वाले वहाँ पर जाके कभी एनबीसी का ऑब्जेक्शन लगाते हैं तो हम लोग कई बार एक्सेसिबिलिटी के बारे में सोचते हैं कई बार तो हम वी ऑल आर्किटेक्ट्स सिंपली एस्केप फ्रॉम डूइंग दिस और डूइंग बिकॉज वी आर गेटिंग मतलब थोड़ा प्रिंसिपल से हम दूर जा रहे हैं दैट इज व्हाई आई थिंक मोहाली इज नॉट हैविंग द रिफ्लेक्शन ऑफ चंडीगढ़
Sir, what should be prioritized? Accessibility, diversity, community integration, or inclusivity?
I think balance of all. Everything has to be balanced in an architecture. It's in the duty of architecture. That's why planning is in the scope of architects, not in the scope of engineers. Architects should balance these all things.
Yeah, question is to Badri. The style and comfort, can they be balanced? The grandeur and inclusivity.
बाकी panelists के लिए भी छोड़ दो यार. I'm having some fantastic people with me in the next panel. Yes.
So basically, like. The answer to it is like when we say style and comfort, like as human beings at different points of time, we have different needs. And certain times it's style, certain times it's comfort. So it's not a linear thing. It's actually very dynamic. And the mix of inclusivity and what we call it monumentality is very dynamic. So it changes with our need, requirement, context and the place where we are. For example, certain buildings would not be performing well if they are not monumental, and certain buildings would not be performing well if they are not inclusive.
Can it be not the style? It can be comfortable. Can there be not a combination of both?
Yes, like
which is the need of
stylish
the
and comfortable both. So similarly, like architecture could be stylish and comfortable.
That's the need of the.
I think that's what we all aspire to do that you very rightly said, yes. Ultimately, the whole debate is this, we started with two different words, let's bring them together. So, thank you very much panelists and for this excellent contribution. I've learned a lot from you guys and thank you very much and let's hope that we continue this beautiful expression together.
Thank you, Sangeet. Last word is always the women. I'm just going to add one statement. Somebody like Louis Kahn, okay, who was like the doyen of modernism, he said design is not making beauty. Okay, it's quite a controversial statement. He said design or beauty emerges from selection, affinities, integration and love. So that's where we stand.
Love is very important. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. We take our place.
Thank you so much. I request all the panelists to please stay for felicitation. What an amazing, engrossing session this was indeed. Thank you so much, Architect Sangeet Sharma and everybody present here on stage. I would now like to invite Mr. Subhendu Ganguly, Managing Director of LUK Building Systems, and Mr. Harnish Arora, Manager Architectural Specifications from Dorma Kaaba, to kindly come on stage and felicitate our dear panelists. I request Mr. Harnish Arora to please come on stage. I request Mr. Architect Badrinath Kaleru, Director of Studio Ardent, to please come forward for felicitation. Can we please have a huge round of applause for our architect? Thank you so much everyone.
I'm announcing this just before we start the next panel. This is one of the biggest forums for young architects in India. This every year we invite nominations for this particular IGN forum from all across India. The nomination deadline was 5th of April. We are extending this to 10th of April, I guess. So the 10th is the last deadline to submit in your nominations. Here we select top 50 young architects from all across the country and publish their names in the magazine Architect and Interiors India that's lying on the table. And then we have an amazing forum in the month of June where we felicitate these top 50 young architects in Bangalore. So here is the QR code. You can scan the code and send in your nominations, or you can log on to architectandinterioursindia.com for further details. Thank you. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you so much, sir. And as we move ahead, it's now time to have a look at one of the most renowned names in the segment of safety and security, Dorma Kaaba. Can we please have the AV?
Barrier-free access solutions from Dorma Kaaba. A barrier-free world for everyone. Coping with everyday life isn't always easy, especially if barriers are placed in our way. And we mean that literally. Many people experience that almost on a daily basis. For children, seniors, or people with physical limitations, doors are often the enemy. Or within your own four walls. A barrier-free world for everyone.
Thank you, Team Dorma, for that very interesting AV. I would now like to request Mr. Harnish Arora, Manager Architectural Specifications from Dorma Kaaba, to kindly come on stage and present further about the efficient access services by Dorma.
Hello and good evening everyone. My name is Harnish and I represent Dorma Kaaba as a Manager Specifications. So along with me are my colleagues, Mr. Suresh, who is leading Chandigarh, and Mr. Rajiv Sharma, who is part of Punjab team, and Mr. Rakesh, he is part of after sales service, and our channel partner, Mrs. TMG Engineers. So On behalf of myself and my entire team, I warmly welcome to each one of you for this edition of Design Day, Chandigarh. So to start with, Domakaba is a purpose-driven organization, and the purpose of the organization is for every place that matters. So Domakaba is available and present at every place that matters to the society, to the community as a whole. So whether it is, say, offices, airports where we go and travel, healthcare facilities where medical and attention is given, offices where we go and work, hospitality, hotels where we do provide our lodging solutions and revolving doors, banking and insurance, government and administration, so whether government in the terms of CPWD or PWD organizations, sports and culture, transport and logistics, whether it's airports or say railway stations. So Domakaba is part of each and every segment as such. So let us see a small video about the purpose of Domakaba. It underlines what we stand for and what we deliver.
Humans are social beings. We create buildings and cities, places where individuals come together and build communities. These are places to connect, stay, and love. Places to care for the generations that came before us while welcoming the next. Places to let our children grow and learn. For every place where we learn or rest. For every place where we get inspired, create memories. For every place where we build a career or start a new chapter. For every place that shapes a community. Place that matters.
For every place that matters. So Domakaba has a strong heritage of more than 160 years, and Domakaba brand as such was formed in 2015. As you can see, Kaba and Doma, both the brands were established in 1862 and 1908, and subsequently during the years both the companies got developed in the access control solutions. Door hardware, Dorma was expertise in door controls, and also our partition solutions. And both the companies got merged in 2015, and a common brand, largest brand was formed in the form of Domakaba in 2015. So Domakaba, as you are all aware, is one of the most trusted brands, renowned brands, accepted brands within the architects, and we have a legacy of more than 160 years. We are present in more than 130 countries worldwide. Domakaba has been a front runner when it comes to research and development and innovation. We have more than 1800 patents in our name, and our recent sales of Domakaba was 2.8 billion CHF, so that makes Domakaba as one of the largest organizations around the globe when it comes to door hardware solutions, access solutions, movable walls, and automatic slide doors. So Domakaba India is headquartered in Chennai, and for Market India we are looking after the entire South Asian market. That includes Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Maldives and Sri Lanka. So in India we have more than 7 sales offices across India, and zonal offices are 4. So Domakaba, I'm proud to share our accreditations as far as our certifications are concerned. So whether it is quality management systems, that is ISO 9001, environmental management systems 14001, or green building certificate that adds to the LEED points when it comes to the green buildings. So we have our certifications and accreditations. So Dormakaba is the first organization in India that is having our own NABL certified lab in our own facility. So NABL certified lab is something which is a gold standard of any labs in India. So that is a big differentiator when it comes to door hardware and other solutions. So Dormakaba, when we talk about Dormakaba, we inherently talk about door hardware. So Dormakaba is something which is well accepted when it comes to hardware. So whether it is hinges, concealed door closers, cam action door closers, door machines, panic bars for fire rated doors, or concealed hinges for high-end residential doors, where aesthetic matters, and also along with the functionality of the door. So this is something which we expertise in, and just to underline that we are also into digital door locks, which are part of our entire portfolio of hardware. So Dormakaba, when we talk about hardware, the hardware basically is broadly divided into two standards, that is EL standards and ANSI standards. ANSI stands for American standards, obviously, and that is basically underlines the durability and the quality of the products we supply in the market. So basically ANSI and national and international standards, that is what we comply with. So the world today and tomorrow, there are trends that define us. A lot of trends are changing within the hardware industry. So from mechanical to electromechanical solutions, we are changing. From touch-based solutions, we are moving ahead in to touchless access solutions. From mechanical to electromechanical solutions, and with mobile access and digital key technologies, self-check-in has become the mainstream feature of the hotels around the globe. So this is something a part of all the hospitality chains, that self-check-in has become the mainstream feature. So we continuously drive and innovate our products, because Dormakaba is one of the product organizations which basically drives and invests a lot of innovation and research. So as far as latest innovations are concerned, we have launched EntryWorks Planner, a software. Basically, this is a planning software for the architects and the interior designers who can manage their door controls. This is provided on behalf of Dorma for the architects and the engineers. And then the next part is the Argus Air. Argus Air is nothing but sensor barriers which enable touchless passage and secure entrance when it comes to airports. And the next aspect is the energy saving automatic sliding doors, which are also thermally separated profile system, which basically adds to the HVAC benefits. So we continuously drive our innovation. So the other part is our contribution towards United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. So we basically contribute towards 9 SDGs which are most aligned to our sustainability strategy. So whether it is a good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, affordability and clean energy, decent work and economic growth. So these are some of the SDGs which are most aligned with the Dormakaba group, and this is what we prioritize globally. So people get trust in us, architects trust us with their projects, and that is why these are some of the key projects which I would like to highlight. Some of them are Amazon Development Center, which Tata Consultancy Services, Google Pan India, Carolon Healthcare. So these are some of the projects which we have done in India itself, and where we have provided our automatic sliding doors, revolving doors, or door hardware, access solutions, and lodging solutions. So there are some of the iconic projects across the globe, like World Trade Center, US, Hedges Avenue Residence, Australia, Galaxy Sabo Office, Beijing, or Marina Bay Sands, Singapore. So these are some of the projects which we have done across the globe, which highlights the quality and the flexibility of the products which we offer. So we are proud to share that all the major airports across the country, whether it is Delhi Airport, Delhi International Airport, Mumbai International Airport, Bangalore Airport, we have provided our e-gates, that is self-boarding gates, to all these airports, and our products are all approved with Airport Authority of India. So other airports like airports which are under Adani are also using our 30 gates, that is in the pre-security build-up areas like Ahmedabad Airport, Lucknow Airport. So that underlines basically the sensor barriers and the access solutions, security solutions which we have to offer. The other aspect of Doma Kaba is the lodging solutions. Doma Kaba as a brand is globally recognized with all the major hospitality chains across the globe. So whether it is Marriott, Intercontinental Hospitals, hotels, Hilton Hotels, Courtyard by Marriott, Marina Bay, Holiday Inn, Doubletree by Hilton. So these are some of the brands which basically have accepted and have approved Doma Kaba brand as the lodging solutions, our revolving doors and our door hardware. The other interesting product of Doma Kaba is our interior glass partition solutions. These are basically demountable glass partition solutions, completely customizable. We provide concealed seals, door hardware for better aesthetics. These are with sleek profiles which comes in 27 mm, 50 mm and 100 mm profiles. So solutions can adapt to the architect's design intent and can be integrated with the help of wireless access solutions. And enhanced acoustics are also can be provided with the help of DGU system solution. So this is something, a curved solution as per design intent of the architect. Curved partitions can also be created. So last but not the least, a very interesting product for the architects and for the interior designers, that is a space management solution for the architects. So intelligent room dividing system which is suspended to the ceiling itself, the RCC, and which is also an acoustical panel. So it is in the name of Skyfold vertical retractable walls. So the benefits are flexibility for multifunctional layouts. We can go up to unlimited length and maximum height of 11 meters in this. So revenue generation through space variability, custom solutions. The rooms can be effortlessly partitioned and made smaller or larger or in proportion to the requirements of the customer. So this system is fully automatic and it comes in two variants, basically solid and gas. So let us see a small video about this Skyfold, what kind of product it is.
Thank Thank you so much, Mr. Harnish, for that knowledgeable presentation. To the next and final session of the evening, the Next Gen panel discussion with the New Age architects who will define and build the architecture of tomorrow. And to commence the Next Gen panel discussion, I would like to again welcome on stage our dear curator and moderator for the evening, Architect Sangeet Sharma. So can we please have you on stage?
We have almost discussed everything. Still, the young blood is with us, and there is much to discuss. It will not take long. May I invite Murta Garg on the stage, please? A CCA graduate, she did her master's from NUS Singapore, and she also worked as an intern in SDSA, and I'm proud of her. And she's a star, rocking star in Design Consortium, and Madhur ma'am is the leader of this, and she's now our partner. Digvijay, may I request Digvijay to come on the stage? Hi, Digvijay. Alumni of again CCA, and who worked in England, in UK for quite some time, and working in Chandigarh. Excellent having you here, Digvijay. May I request Manmeet Arora to come on the stage, please? She's from GNDU, and she trained with Raza Kabul. He's a very dear friend of mine, Raza, and I think so. उसके साथ काम करके तो बड़ा मजा आया आपको, and he does such amazing architecture, and he's the king of high-rise in Mumbai. A great guy, a winner of many awards, and an excellent artist, an excellent painter, and she's people who do things more than architecture is something very appreciable. Great Mumbai, very nice having you. And Rohan, hi Rohan, you are one of the families. Admire you for your work. He's from SPK, and because he belongs to Chandigarh, so he's working here, and doing such fantastic jobs. May I request Danish to come? Ganesh, who's from CCA, and he also did his France, am I right, Ganesh? Yeah, great. So we have a lot of French-trained architects here, including Badrinath, so good. We have almost discussed everything. We are not going to bore ourselves and not going to bore the audience. It's 9:30. It's 9:30. हमने 20-25 मिनट में बैठा कर दिया. Guys, let's talk of emotional quotient, EQ. You know what we have discussed about monumentality and things. We'll talk of that. We'll discuss, some of us tells things which are, other attractive elements which make inclusivity more important. Maybe in smaller projects, in interiors, that how we can actually run around these two things in a system which makes it more interesting architecture. कहने का मतलब ये है कि we have, I don't want to talk about the buildings of monumentality. I don't want to talk of things like why we have them. What's the similarity between the two? हमने इतना बोला, इतना सुना, कुछ इसके अंदर कुछ इस तरह का निष्कर्ष निकल सकता है where we align them both together. I mean, we have talked enough of the diversification. Let's talk of unification. Say something. Tell us something about your points.
I think yes, we discussed in length about monumentality and inclusivity, but I think we missed on a point somewhere. Though on face of it, monumentality and inclusivity, they seem to be very contrasting paradigms or approaches in architecture, where monumental architecture is seen to relate only to a very large structure or very historical important structure, but monumentality in once I think Louis Khan also referred to it, is an inherent spiritual quality a structure has. And it is inherent in the structure, and these are those structures which are able to kind of create an experience on its viewer, on its audience, of something larger than themselves. So it has that capacity of humbling the viewer. And we experience this kind of emotion where we are mesmerized by its beauty, or we are even mesmerized and engrossed, and we are transcended to a very next level. That is monumentality. It can have different forms. It can be related to historical structure. It can have integration of community, or it can be a representation of community aspirations or religion, or it can also be a showcase of technology by building tall like Burj Khalifa. So it can have different forms, but in all those forms, one thing is common. They are creating an experience of something larger, an experience of transcendence. Now let's go to the other topic, which is inclusivity. Inclusivity, on the other hand, is a very comprehensive approach, where we are trying to integrate people from different backgrounds, different abilities. We are also trying to integrate human with its community, with its surroundings, with nature. So all these concepts form inclusivity. But again, inclusivity is not a physical structure. It's not just accessibility. If, for example, I create a building which is open to all, which has the right textures and feelings, which I say everybody can walk into and is welcome, I don't think that is enough. That I think Vanna ma'am did touch on that a little. That space should feel like welcoming. It should be that I feel that I belong here. So that experience of belongingness, a feeling of welcome, a feeling of being peaceful at a given place, and a place which resonates with us, is what is inclusivity. And yes, it is not something which can just mechanically be defined. I give this way, I will plan something like this, and it is done. And I think when we were discussing the example of Chandigarh, it was designed, but that element of getting that inclusive fabric was somewhere taken away in the bureaucratic processes, and we could not achieve that. So going to the that monumental architecture and inclusive architecture are both experiences. One is an experience of shared thing, one is an experience of belongingness, and the other is an experience of something larger than themselves. Yeah. And then, yes.
I just wanted to add to your comment, Mohita. We're in Singapore, and my daughter lives there, and I've seen there. I think one of the greatest examples of livable conditions where they include inclusivity is in Singapore. कोई भी ऐसी building नहीं है जहाँ पे there is no patron of landscape. There is no inclusivity of horticulture or such things. I mean, grandest examples, even very large, which are there, which is to showcase architecture, but they blend so well in landscape, particularly in Singapore. It's amazing. Yes, well said. We'll go further. Digvijay, tell us, I was seeing your Sukwas project, and I liked it. तो उसमें कैसे आपने blend किया जरा बताना जरा, without repeating what you already said.
So if I talk about my particular project, that is the Sukhawas residence that you are speaking, asking about. So in that particular residence, it has a very inclusive feel to it, with hints of monumentality inside the entire space. So when I say that there are hints of monumentality, so it's like, for example, we have used Italian flooring inside the entire house, and just to add that glam factor inside the interiors, we used some inlay patterns inside. Then again, whenever we were planning the TV consoles or we were planning the wall panelings, so even when we are using like veneer panelings on the for those particular surfaces, with that we added a hint of metal with it. So like right now, since we are talking about this, since we are in 2024 and we should be talking that how can we inculcate monumentality with inclusivity in this particular year. So it's like, giving that particular luxury and glam factor to everyone without losing the aesthetic part, without using the practical part of it. So it's like, making the space user-friendly and also making it practically, aesthetically appealing as well.
So when you are dealing with words like this, when you are making a house, so it has to be inclusive first.
Yes.
It has to be functional first.
Yes.
So that becomes the primary requirement. So when you're trying to renovate old houses, the one which you have done, so the responsibility is more, because either you do away with the existing character or you take along with that. So what was your take on this?
So we never lose the essence of the particular old structure whenever we do a renovation project. For example, we did a 2-canal house renovation project in Sector 18, which the heart of that space was the central courtyard that we actually kept in the main design as well. So we definitely keep the essence of the design, and also we try to give the client, modern touch to it.
So that comes to another point, Manmeet. You're working in Punjab, and we see a lot of projects like this where they retain the Punjabiyat, they retain the character. And I think the whole trend of getting the culture back started with Haveli, and 3 years to a person like Zafar who made this building, and it's really great to see how architects make trends and how we take it forward. So now that you are working in Punjab also, what is your take in getting those things together? I mean, how are you handling the culture, social economics and the paying capacity? इतने अमीर लोग हैं पंजाब में, वो कहते हैं कि बना तो जो बना सकते हो आप. So many friends from Punjab, they say that the people say उसका घर इतना अच्छा है, मेरा घर ज़्यादा अच्छा होना चाहिए. I mean, that's the kind of demand people have in Punjab. So Manmeet, tell us something about how do you handle these people here? कि अमीर लोग कैसे handle करते हैं? हमारा तो कभी client अमीर कोई नहीं.
So talking about this inclusivity, for my POV, like my point of view, for inclusivity of the space leads to the grandeur of the building. So this is how we work. So if I talk about the heritage is all about inclusivity. If you see about the details, if you talk about the Punjab thing, if I see my areas around Nakodar, Kapurthala. So Kapurthala is being known for the city of palaces. That makes me remind, thank you sir, we've never mentioned this about before the debate. So we did the Sagar Ratna project in Kapurthala. So when I went to the site, a very raw site, and something around 6,000 square feet of area for the Sagar Ratna. And when I entered the space, I saw a beautiful Darbar palace just overlooking my site. And then I thought, as a city of palaces, I should go with the heritage culture. And somehow we have a forte in the Spanish and cultural heritage. And there we started up. We added with the jalis, we added with the spandrels that add to the character and the heritage of the city. So the very Moroccan tiles and the rustic walls we did. And sir, we got the Best Sagar Ratna award as well recently. So of course, आपका जो heritage वाला question था, so that just linked with me that the Sagar Ratna project we did. And talking about the Punjab houses, of course, we are doing the good heritage villas. But yes, we never forget सबसे पहले inclusivity, how the people need. So for me, the designing, the inclusivity is how we take how we invite people of all ages inside the space. Rather, it's a commercial space. Rather, if I talk about any of the resorts I'm doing or any of the house I'm doing. So that even the house, from the small scale, the house should be for the, if I talk about, for the whole age group. So the middle age group, the youngsters, and the old age group. So uske accordingly we plan the space.
Wonderful. I mean, this is what we're looking. Audience, we are this particular panel. I'm particularly highlighting the projects which they have done, and you'll be surprised to know these young people do such amazing work, and so does the people in the audience. But these people, so I'm identifying the project through which they can talk about these two things, rather than talking about the matter of fact words. Great job, Manvi. And
one question, one answer. So you started off with the, sorry if I'm not taking much of the time.
Good.
So you started off with question the emotions.
Yeah.
With the inclusivity.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I mean every house, every space, every commercial has an emotion. So we believe in that. Whatever we do with the emotions, we take care of the little details. This is how we work. One. Number two, for the emotion things, I think I would rather love to give an example for designing of any of the blind school, though we have not done. So that includes the emotion of the space. So when special able people, उनके लिए design करना, how we gonna design it? उसमें like they go for the brain, the language. So उसके लिए हम लोग जो space देते हैं, they go by their senses. So अगर उनको एक blind school दे रहे हैं या blind community दे रहे हैं, so उनको कैसे पता चले कि ये मेरा class है या ये मेरा room है, उसके लिए कैसे design करना है? Supposingly, if it's a A class, we give the high ceiling, उनको पता चलेगा कि इसमें echo volume ज़्यादा है, so they enter to the A. B, maybe they can feel the texture. C, maybe they can have the flooring textures. So this is, you know, the emotion portion.
We
Yes.
use all the five senses
Yes.
to acclimatize ourselves and the use of the building. That's the way it is to be done. So what is our training? Engineering or architecture में ये difference है, फर्क है. You know, we have that emotional quotient. That's why there is an ownership of the buildings which we have. Oh, you know, like आज after so it was only after the independence that buildings were known by the architects. पहले शाहजहां का ताजमहल था, so it's a building by Rogers. Zahadid, everybody's name. Doshi Safi building, you know. So the architectural character and his name is now associated with the buildings because of the emotional quotient. Rohan, coming to you. I've been seeing your one-man project and this Lashka, the Lashka?
The name Laska.
Laska. Yeah, क्या कमाल प्रोजेक्ट है भाई. And
thank you, sir.
मुझे लेके जाओगे?
Yeah, of course.
So talk of the town, and it's a very sensitive area. As I could see the pictures, they were in a very backdrop of Sukna Lake. So by inclusivity, emotional quotient, and other things, how did you generate keeping this debate intact? What was the thing which mattered to you the most?
So I think first of all we need to understand what design really stands for. You know, whether we talk in the context of monuments, I believe it's very important to relate to a particular expression. So again, as you said, what inspired me to develop it the way it was. I'll describe how it's been developed. But then I think the main thing while approaching the design was the context. You know, the context is very strong and it's very critical also. Because we are right next to the Sukna Lake, which happens to be the extended catchment area of Sukna Lake. And you know, there's a lot of dispute whether it is the catchment area or not. So you know, the fact is there.
How do you even get to make build there? It's very important.
So I think the client came us with a very weird brief that you have to do something and yet make sure it's iconic and still it does not disturb the texture of the space. You know, so that was the design brief they came up with. So as soon as we came to the site, we felt the emotions around the site, which were like people didn't want us to do anything over there. So the thing was, we entered the site. The first thing that we visualized was being next to the lake means you want to experience more of water. So we structured everything around a canal which we built in between the site. It's a big site, it's almost 1.5 acres of area we've developed as the cafe, which is the outdoor space. But then the main idea was the expression where you are there, you're sitting in property which is designed, yet you are feeling you are within nature. You're in context, you're sitting within the context. And that was the way we
Because inclusivity was the nature.
Exactly. So
your inclusivity was the sensitivity of the site, right?
Yes.
Right.
So in terms of inclusivity, if I talk about this particular design, it's important to understand, it was important for people to feel that this space is part of the texture, the surrounding, and they want to accept it because it's been designed like that. That acceptance means inclusivity to me in design.
Nice.
So even the buildings, the structures, which are like temporary structures, they've been developed, they've been done in a manner that they mimic the organic nature. So they mimic the organic forms and things available in even the materials that we've used. So they mimic the natural forms. So I think context, responding to context, was the main direction towards making the design inclusive.
That's why you mentioned it, Roman, very nice. Danish, what did you get back for us from France? You're talking about, inclusivity of every time, and these are age-old cities. I mean, I don't even know the date of which Paris was made. And mind you, you have seen it, and we have seen it. They do not destroy the character of a building. अंदर जो मर्जी कर ले, high-tech हो जाता है, but the facade remains the same. And that's the beauty for which you go to Europe for. So did you implement those things in your projects, Danish? And can you name one of your projects, please?
Yes, sir, very much so. That was my major source of inspiration. That is what drove me towards neoclassical or classical architecture, which we pride today as being our forte. So, yes, like when we're talking about France, for example, if somebody used to ask me, yes, if somebody used to ask me that you have to place the Mona Lisa, for example, in a structure, what would that structure be? So I would probably place it in a very monumental structure because the artifact is so extraordinary, has such an incredible heritage value, and is almost priceless. So the structure has to be so monumental that it needn't be inclusive at all. It should be something that overwhelms somebody who walks in and onlooker, so that they understand what they are looking at. The structure should almost be like in a portrait mode, and the artifact should be the focus of attention.
So the architecture and the work of art goes hand in hand.
And in this situation, inclusivity might not be important, as important monumentality might be. But this correlation is very important for me because what I brought back was this project that I'll refer to. We made a house in Sector 2, Chandigarh. It was set in about half an acre of a broad size. So the client was very well known to us, and they said, Danish, we have been living in this house for so long. Our kids live abroad, and this house is a very old house, 50-year-old construction, and Le Corbusier style, and the old Chandigarh houses, heritage houses. He said that, okay, we don't believe in Vastu per se, but everything that I have today is because of this residence and the vibe that I have inside this residence. What me and my wife, the kind of energy that we enjoy in this place.
You married to an architect?
Me?
Yeah.
No, she. So this is the energy that we enjoy in this space is of great value, but the structure is in shambles. What do we do? So I want a brand new house, but I don't want a renovation. Yet I don't feel like breaking this house down because I'll lose the charm, and I'll feel like I'm staying in a cold place. But I want to stay in a place that reminds me of my old house, so I don't lose that warmth. That was a challenge. That was a brief that they said that we also want this structure to depict a bit of stature, yet it should feel very positive. That's where we found out that according to me, my team, we worked a lot. We had to see, okay, this outlook is a bit too understated, or this is a bit too grand, so we had to find that balance. And that balance, according to me, is the word elegance. And the minute I realized that this is where it's not too grand, it's not too understated, it's an elegant structure, that is what we created, and it
changed my way of working, and now every project that we do, we kind of that balance, that word elegance is what we strive for.
Wonderful. I mean, we're talking of emotional quotient in this panel. So the elegance, the connectivity, the heritage zones, the sensitive areas, we have discussed all these things. But by the way, audience, you know, when IMPI was asked to make the entrance of the Louvre Museum, the Louvre is almost 1,000 years old.
Yes, yes.
And he decided to make a glass pyramid. He was actually expelled from France. He was asked to vacate the city because he was proposing something out of the world. It was a very, very different. 1000 साल पुरानी एक बिल्डिंग है, उसके सामने आप शीशे वाला वो कर रहे हो. That became a landmark. So I think there was something in his mind, the connectivity of the people, vis-a-vis the monumentality of the structure. The Louvre itself is not monumental, but the pyramid is.
And the fact that it is set inside a setting which is absolutely colonial.
Colonial, yes.
And that a very contemporary structure stands out and then hence becomes a monument.
And I guess why it takes that position of monumentality is because it was standing out in a way.
What? The root part?
The glass part.
The glass part, the pyramid part.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because of that, it was drawing attention, and it was also creating that feeling of what is going to be inside. So we get that feeling of surprise and suspense, and that is what gave that structure that position of monumentality.
Yeah.
So it was also breaking away from the surroundings sometimes, and in a way which also complements it, can also provide for this kind of
experience. This is architecture. This is what we are doing.
Yes, architecture is all about creating the right experiences. If you create a space which resonates with its user, is the best thing that you can do as an architect. So I always feel we should be beyond our style, and we should be creating spaces like we have all discussed in the project. I think all of them mentioned how they created spaces as per what was the requirement of that project.
Sure.
So I would just like to add something to this. You know, what I understand about the design process in that project, the Louvre, is that probably, you know, again, there is a strong context, and it's very huge, it's strong, it's massive, it has a long history. So probably the design approach was very deconstructive. You sort of totally ignore the context in a manner, and you portray something which is so different that the context also stands out, even as the structure also stands out. So in a way, the architect is trying to create this spell in a way where he's not mirrorizing the existence. You know, he's contrasting it in his approach. So I think that's a very different approach to it, and it did wonders. But yes, he was expelled from France, so probably that was the experience for him.
Yeah, it was. I think a good idea was, you know, to shape the onlooker. And when we talk of interior projects, yeah. So how do we carry forward the spatial experience in terms of inclusivity or something like that? Can you highlight something different? I mean, how do you approach an interior project of this kind? How do you do it?
So one thing that I will...
we have 5 more minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So for an interior project, we always understand what the emotions of the client are and what particular requirements there is and how much space do we have. I know we all live in Chandigarh, we have bigger houses, but we're also doing interior apartments as well. So whenever we plan a space, we imagine like how much of daylight is coming in. Do we need to make the windows bigger? Do we need to add some skylights inside? And how should we make overall the volume of the space bigger, and also the transition of the space when we are entering from one bedroom and going towards the living hall. So the transitioning of space is also very important when we talk about inclusivity. And also, obviously, practically imagine like what furniture is coming where, how much is the scale of the space, how much is the clear height of the space.
So flexibility becomes an important issue.
Yes.
You know, you begin making things more flexible,
yes,
more accessible.
Yes.
So inclusivity becomes very important because when you're making things accessible,
yes,
that way. And Mamit, how about making it convenient and accommodating, as you were saying? How do you make your buildings more responsive, accommodating responsive? Can you answer that?
Okay, one thing for first of all, when we talk about the sense of emotions in the house, so I think that being an artist, and I think the architecture has derived from the art. So coming to the previous answer, if I may. So I think the colors add to the emotions. I think the colors play a very major role. It's the colors which uplift your mood. Colors we can use like, if it's like a kid's room, so kids like colors, so the pop-up colors, the pastel colors. So it's a very youngster room, we can give something like a grays, a combination of any other.
I think this panel we're talking about more about intangible things rather than matter of fact tangible, which my senior plans spoke. Continue.
Yeah. So I think one, the color. And now coming back to the question, sir, you asked me about how accessible the house may be. So basically, sir, jitna convenient. If I talk about one, kids room. Okay, I'll take an example of a kids room. So talking about the kids room, I have to take care of certain standards of the heights of the beds, of course the study tables, how we emotionally inclusivity add to the things to the kids room. We generally ask what is the interest of the kids. Like I can't put a football if he wants a badminton. So that is the inclusivity, that's the accessibility what we give. The standard heights of your counters. I can't give the mirror very up if the kid is like a small. So these all little details, minute details help. So if I coming to the larger area, if I say the living areas, of course I don't want to talk about the drawing room, that's a very common area, it's a public space. So talking about the living area, connectivity to the dining area and to the breakfast counter and to the kitchen and the chef kitchen and the laundry mat. So that accessibility, that flow chart is what is the inclusivity of the big villas we are doing. I think we are working same concept even in Punjab where people are spending a lot of money on us or outside Punjab, yes.
Very wonderful. Darish, which architect's monumentality or the designs you like? Can you tell us?
I think Norman Foster would be the answer. And I think why I would say that is because London, although they work throughout the world, but especially in the UK, in London City, they have managed to create extremely flamboyant and monumental buildings in a very old-time, classical setting. And they have not destroyed the overall skyline or I would say, ethnicity of that city. So it's one of my favorite cities in the world, and whenever I go, I admire particular buildings by Norman Foster, because this is what is very inspirational, that a person can set up an entire structure surrounded by old-time Renaissance architecture and not disturb that landscape. So I think that's...
Yeah, I think they're amazing. That's why they are amazing.
That's why.
They're
to be able to create something so different in a setting that is absolutely...
London is such a...
Sir, I would like to add here.
Yeah.
We were earlier discussing about that pyramid in the Louvre Museum. Now we are discussing Norman Foster. But to me personally, though both were trying to do a contrast with their surroundings, Louvre still is a more monumental structure. It speaks of much better and greater experience than Norman Foster building, which somehow to me looks like standing in between and not giving any regard to the context.
So I agree with you, but in the case of the Louvre, it is surrounded by completely, it actually is surrounded by Renaissance architecture, it's enwrapped by it. And in this case, it's not disturbing any skyline, because Paris city has a very limited amount of skyline. Buildings are not vertical in nature, and even the old colonial architecture is maybe restricted to maybe 20 floors. And in this scenario, in the case of London City, it is all vertical in nature because London has no place to go but up, you know.
So besides the buildings of Mr. Rogers is not just a piece of architecture implanted. They are all very sustainable.
Yes.
Well, that's very nice. I think we spoken about the art and the emotional quotient in this panel, and the floor is open to the audience and let to hear them. We still have 5 minutes. The bar is not yet late. Anji, anybody wants to say something? You have spoken such nice. Yes, please. Mike, then I am.
Actually, the panel was good, but I was expecting something Indian from the panel.
वो इंडियन तो पहले बोल दिया ना यार, वो जो बड़े लोगों ने बोल दिया था इसलिए।
यहाँ पे भी अगर नेक्स्ट जनरेशन भी इंडियन बोलती बहुत अच्छा लगता है। आपने बोला मुझे
नहीं,
पता
अगर आप शुरू हो जाओगे वो बुरा हो जाएगा।
Okay.
हमने पूरे पैनल में मोन्यूमेंटल को बहुत ज़्यादा ग्लैमराइज किया, जबकि आज की जो डिमांड है वो इंक्लूसिव आर्किटेक्चर की या फिर एक्सेसिबिलिटी की, उस पर थोड़ा ज़्यादा फोकस अभी कर ले तो बेटर।
I think inclusivity पे हमने बात की है, monumental पे बात की नहीं ज़्यादा।
Then I would like to do because I think
everyone wants to say this. आपने बोल दिया, आपको बोलने दो।
We started with this, but I think we got carried away with the other thread of discussion. The main question that you asked me first was how we can bring them together, and when we start experiencing monumentality and inclusiveness in the form of experience, and we understand there are two types of experiences, then is when we can achieve that kind of integration. We also discussed examples of architect Tadao Ando, and I can ask, I would love if somebody would say, do you consider his work as monumental? Do you consider Tadao Ando's work as monumental?
The audience?
Yes, I'm asking the audience.
Everybody wants to say the answer? It is not monumental. It is absolutely contextual. And Tadao Ando particularly because it works in concrete.
So that is the thinking that we have to
I
see.
would like to say something about that topic that you just raised. What I truly believe we are the next generation. So I would like to redefine what is being done in the new era. We do not have monumental architecture anymore. It's iconic architecture. So an iconic architecture is not just about grandeur. It's about a lot of other factors which it's basically about the scale of expression, the scale of the concept, and that is the beauty that this new iconic architecture can easily be made inclusive, because it's not just focused on grandeur, it's focused on focusing on other factors like context, like use of materials, use of forms, taking cultural references. So that makes it iconic. So iconic is the new monument.
Yes, sir, but because like we discussed his Church of Light, see, when we are in that space, we all agreed that it is a very mesmerizing space. And that mesmerizing space is the quality which is giving them the monumentality or the iconic or the landmark thing. But at the same time, he has always worked in comprehension with bringing in the light, space, nature, and as you said, it's a very inclusive design.
Sure.
And that is how I think in modern day architecture we can bring them together. Monumentality is not just about creating structures which need to have a podium or something which is speaking in terms of heights and volumes. It is all about what you would feel once you are in that space. If you feel that you have transcended to a new space, and if that space resonates with you, that is what monumentality actually is.
Yeah, so if I may conclude that all monumentality is by and large inclusive, right? So even the iconic building which you just said, they are iconic because they are functional and because they have everything what we talked about in terms of emotional quotient, EQ, and that's why they are iconic. I mean, we look up to them. That's why they're staying.
But sir, I'm sorry, all monumental buildings cannot be inclusive. There are examples of monumental buildings which cannot be inclusive because they are designed for one particular thing. If you are designing a mosque, or for example, you're designing for any religion, you are obviously focusing more on your community rather than the other.
That's a different ballgame altogether.
But yes, the other way around is correct. All-inclusive architecture can be monumental.
I think his question still remains unanswered.
I think he said one thing. He asked one question.
Last question, sir.
Our time is up actually.
All monumental buildings cannot be inclusive buildings. But in current, government is focusing on to make all the monumental buildings like Red Fort, Qutub Minar to make accessible. तो कैसे बनेगी आप मुझे बस 2-3 पॉइंट बता दीजिए कि उन मोनुमेंट्स को हम accessible building बनाएं.
I'll give you this answer. So yes, one, you talk about the thing. Can I? Yeah, thank you.
First. Okay. वो बोल रहे थे कि monumental buildings inclusive नहीं बन सकती.
Sir, I said not all monumental buildings can be inclusive. But there are examples of some monumental buildings which have been designed with the element of inclusivity. We are not saying whether when you are designing a monumental architecture, you cannot have the element of inclusivity. But if the function demands that it is for one exclusive class, then obviously there is no requirement of including the others in it. So that is what my point was. I'm not saying it is not possible.
All is absolutely accessible. I think we have debated and discussed on that.
All monuments can be accessible, not necessarily all.
मैम इसका एक सबसे अच्छा एग्जांपल है. So my recent visit to अलीला फोर्ट Chandigarh. So that's the one. आपका जो क्वेश्चन का आंसर का एक तो इंडियन हेरिटेज है. Number two, it was a monument which has been converted into a 5-star property. And somehow I was lucky to have an experience. And with the people, of course, Mr. Kapoor, who's the owner, one of the owner for the building, and one who has created, Mrs. Ritu Khandelwal and Sandeep Khandelwal. So I had the first-hand experience. It is a 230 years old fort, an Indian fort. Not that I'm talking about anything out of the India. So it is an Indian fort, 230 years back. And उसको monumental को कैसे उसकी inclusivity लाया गया, that was the biggest challenge. And I think that if time allows me, I can explain that. Otherwise,
time's up.
Time's up. So that's the answer.
We can discuss all this over dinner and drinks. बस हो गया यार. अभी मिलते हैं.
Definitely, India is rich in culture. It is rich in heritage. Yes. Thank you.
We started the civilization. We are the ones who started the living conditions. So we get So we are giving individual examples. It was the Indus Valley civilization which gave life to the cities. It gave the impetus how people should live. So we are living in that conditions. Great. So thank you very much for the wonderful deliberation panel. You young guys infuse so much of energy in us. We like to do as good work as you people do. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, audience, for
Thank you so much, everyone. And that was one absolutely thrilling debate. I would now request Mr. Santosh Kumar, Zonal Head North from NICA, to kindly felicitate all the dear panelists. Can we please have him on stage? I request Architect Ganesh Singh to kindly come forward. He is the founder and principal architect of TBC Architecture. Can we please have a huge round of applause for the felicitation? No, please stay back on stage. Next we have Architect Digvijay Rajdev, Principal Architect, Digvijay Rajdev Architects. Architect Manmeet Arora, Principal Architect from The Arc. Architect Mohita Garg Bashish, Partner, Creative Consortium. Can we please have a huge round of applause for the felicitation session? And last but not the least, Architect Rohan Jain, Principal Architect from Projected Trails. Can we have a group picture of all the panelists? And that wraps up the Design Debate Chandigarh edition. It has been a joy to be amongst a wonderful audience and patient guests like all of y'all. You've been absolutely amazing, and I thank you all for your patience. From me and the entire team of ITP Media Group, I would like to thank our sponsors. The event is powered by ICA, Associate Partner Aluke Building Systems, and Category Partner Dormaka. Thank you all for your support, and of course, I'd like to thank again our esteemed guest, our fantastic moderator, and all the panelists for taking time to make this evening a phenomenal success.